A man decides to go to his church for a confessional, after a long break. As he walks into a confessional booth, he is pleasantly surprised to discover a fully equipped bar, with beer on tap, and a stock of the finest Cuban cigars there. When the priest walks into the room, the man says, "Father, forgive me, it has been a long time since I've been to confession. But I must say, the confessional box is much more inviting than I remember." And to that, the priest responded, "Get out of here. You're on my side." On hearing that her elderly grandfather has just passed away, Jane goes to visit her 95-year-old grandmother and comfort her. When she asks how her grandfather has died, her grandmother says, "He had a heart attack while we were making love on Sunday morning." Horrified, Jane tells her grandmother that two people, nearly 100 years old, having sex, will surely be asking for trouble. "Oh no, my dear. Many years ago, realizing our advanced age, we figured out the best time to do it was when the church bells would start to ring. It was just the right rhythm. Nice, slow, and even. Nothing too strenuous, simply in on the ding and out on the dong." She pauses, wipes away a tear, and then continues to say, "And if that damned ice cream truck hadn't come along, he'd still be alive today." One week, the preacher's sermon was on the 10 Commandments. When he has reached, "Thou shalt not steal," he noticed that one of his parishioners became very agitated. Then, when the preacher has reached, "Thou shalt not commit adultery," the man suddenly smiled and relaxed. Intrigued, the preacher approached the man after the service and asked him the reason for his peculiar behavior. The man replied, with an embarrassed smile, "When you talked about the commandment, 'Thou shalt not steal,' I suddenly discovered that my umbrella was missing. But when you said, 'Thou shalt not commit adultery,' I remembered where I left it." A wealthy man was having an affair with an Italian woman for a few years. One night, during one of their rendezvous, she confided in him that she was pregnant. Not wanting to ruin his reputation or his marriage, he paid her a large sum of money if she would go to Italy to have the child. He also told her that if she stayed in Italy, he would provide her with generous child support until the child turned 18. She agreed, but wondered how he would know when the baby was born. To keep it discreet, he told her to mail him a postcard and write the word spaghetti on the back. He would then arrange for child support. One day, about 9 months later, he came home to his confused wife. She said that he received a very strange postcard in the mail. "Just give it to me, honey, and I'll explain it later," he said. The wife handed the card over and watched as her husband read the card, turned white, and fainted. On the back of the card was written, "Spaghetti, spaghetti, spaghetti. 2 with meatballs and 1 without." Three men died in a car accident on Christmas Eve. When they got to the pearly gates, they were told that before they could enter, they needed to present something that embodied the spirit of Christmas. One man searched his pockets and found some mistletoe, so he was allowed in. A second man presented a cookie, so he also was allowed in. The third man pulled out a pair of panties. St. Peter asked, "How do you think these represent the spirit of Christmas?" The man shrugged and said, "Well, they were carols." An old priest overheard a new priest's comments in the confessional booth and pulled him aside to talk about it. The old priest said, "Brother Andrew, I understand that this was your first confession, so you are quite new to all this. Still, next time I suggest you try saying, 'I understand, and how did you feel about that?' Instead of slapping your knee and saying, 'Wow, I can't believe you did that, what happened next?'" One morning, a shepherd was looking after his sheep on the side of a deserted road. Suddenly, a brand new Porsche screeches to a halt. The driver, a man dressed in an Armani suit, Cerruti shoes, Ray-Ban sunglasses, Tag Heuer wristwatch, and a Pierre Cardin tie, gets out and asks the shepherd, "If I can tell you how many sheep you have, will you give me one of them?" The shepherd looks at the young man, then looks at the large flock of grazing sheep, and says, "Okay." The young man connects his laptop to the mobile fax, enters a NASA website, scans the ground using his GPS, opens a database and 60 Excel tables filled with algorithms and pivot tables. He then prints out a 150-page report on his high-tech mini printer, turns to the shepherd and says, "You have exactly 1,586 sheep." The shepherd cheers. "That's correct, you can choose any sheep from the herd." The young man takes one of the animals, which he likes the most, from the flock, and puts it in the back of his Porsche. The shepherd looks at him and asks, "If I guess your profession, will you return my animal to me?" The young man laughs and says, "Sure, why not?" The shepherd says, "You are an auditor." "How did you know?" asks the young man. "Very simple," the shepherd says. "First of all, you came here without being wanted. Secondly, you charged me a fee to tell me something I already knew. Thirdly, you don't understand anything about my business. Now, can I have my dog back?"